Early in World War II, when Mussolini sided with Hitler, the Italian population of Australia suddenly became enemy aliens. Australian residents, men of Italian descent, were rounded up and interned in camps for the duration of the war. Well, Daniel Tenney, whose great-grandfather Carlo was one of those internees, has written and produced a film based on these events, and it previews in Fremantle this week. And just before Daniel joins us, here's a little snippet of sound from the movie. A little bit like the Stolen Generation, this.
No, please, no. That is my son. You can't take him.
Mama!
Come on, into the truck with you, lad.
Mi dispiace, Mama.
Now, that sort of thing happened all over Australia in those early months of World War II, as Italian men were taken from their families. The women and children were left to stay in their homes, but the men were taken away, and of course that often meant the loss of the breadwinner. Well, Daniel Tenney joins us on the program now. Hi, Daniel.
Hi, Steve. How are you going?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. And we've spoken about these events previously on this program, particularly the camp at Harvey. When did you first become aware of this story?
I'd heard
kind of family folklore.
Yeah, well, I'd heard it through the family sort of once or twice, but I never knew the full extent of it till a little while ago last year in a uni class. I was doing a documentary class, and I heard about it, and I just was stunned that so many people were taken away, and I'd never heard about it. I mean, we don't learn about it at school, and it was just really amazing that no one had heard it before. So.
No, it's remarkable how much we don't learn at school about our own history, isn't it?
Definitely.
Just talking about the Dutch shipwrecks, and similarly, it's something we just don't seem to be important for some reason or other.
Yeah.
You never met your great-grandfather?
I never met him, no. My nonna was the one that told me some stories. He was in a working camp. He wasn't in an internment camp, but he was in a working camp cutting wood up in Kalgoorlie.
Oh, okay, on the wood lines up there.
Yeah.
Okay. And so hearing that story, did that sort of give you the idea for the film?
Yeah, definitely. It's all sort of come from there, and also spoke to a few people down in Harvey and went down to the shrine, read a few of the old newspaper articles and things like that. Obviously, it's a short film at the moment, so it's kind of hard to fit everything into that. So I've just sort of looked at one boy's experience of that time, and yeah, that's sort of how the story's come about.
So you haven't based it on your great grandfather. This is just based it on an imaginary young man.
Yeah, his name's Johnny. Although my nonna's name, my grandfather's name was Benedetto, and he actually is a little cameo in the film, actually played by myself towards the end. So that's just a little thing there.
Did you have the opportunity to talk to any of those who were interned in doing your research?
I haven't yet. That's actually the next step. We're actually looking for people that have been through that, and a lot of them are getting quite old. There's still a few around, but this year that's the next step, the next goal. We're going to go around and film it and document it, and we're looking at making a documentary this year, and so hopefully all the information we get from that will help us think of the full story and create that.
Okay, now I think the title of the film is the Italian equivalent of Stick Together. I'll let you pronounce the Italian.
Yeah, Restare Uniti.
Restare Uniti. And that's basically what it means, stick together?
Pretty much, yeah. Literally means stick together.
Yeah. Which certainly seems to have been what they did. And how many people in the cast?
In the cast, we had two main actors, plus about 5 or 6 other ones.
Okay.
All from Western Australia, or Western Australian actors.
And it's been nominated for a couple of WA Screen Awards, hasn't it?
We have, indeed. We've been nominated for Best Cinematography and also Best Actor for Frank Fazio. He's up for Best Actor there.
Oh, fantastic. Now, I think there are about 1,000 internees held at the camp at Harvey, guarded by a couple of hundred Army personnel. They were just taken from their families. They had no real contact with people on the outside. It seems that they were treated pretty well. It wasn't like a prisoner of war camp as such. And of course, being Italians, I think probably the first thing they did was establish a veggie garden.
Yeah, definitely. I'd say that was a definite possibility. I think that did definitely happen. Yeah.
You put an Italian anywhere with a bit of dirt, and he'll have a veggie garden in no time at all. And they weren't forced to work, as I understand it, but most of them did. Clearing down there. This is in Harvey, and they cut logs for the government and things like that.
Definitely. I mean, the stories. I did hear one story. I can't remember if I read it or if someone told me. Actually, I think it was when I was down in Harvey. We spoke to a farmer there who had a story. Who was an Italian about one of his ancestors that was taken away. There were three brothers, and they had a potato farm, and two of them were taken away to Rottnest to an internment camp, and one was left behind. And the one that was left behind actually got the short end of the stick because he had to stay behind and work the farm. And the other two pretty much said they had a great time on Rottnest, swimming and in the sun. So, I mean, they're not all bad. I mean, there's bad stories, but there's also good things that.
Yeah, I think the difficult thing for most of them would have been being taken away from their families and having no contact with their families. Italians, family being such an important thing, of course, for Italians, for sure, and some of them had young children which they wouldn't have seen for the duration of the war. That must have been terribly hard for them.
Oh, it would have been tough, for sure.
But those with skills, I think, were kept busy in the camp. The carpenters and blacksmiths and shoemakers would have been using their skills and. I understand also sort of formed choirs and had theatrical groups and sort of kept themselves entertained as well.
Yeah, I'm sure they would have found lots of things. Italians are very much like that, aren't they? Very flashy, always can find good things to do.
Yeah, no matter what the
soccer matches went on as well, I'd say.
Probably so, and a bit of bocce, they would have found a way.
Yeah.
They would have made some balls out of something, and I'm sure they would have, and so they should, and at least they were able to do that. Like I say, it wasn't like a prisoner of war camp as such. They were just. They were there because they're Italians, and I think some of them were even Australian born.
Yeah, that's it. Well, what gets me is that some of these Italians moved away, pretty much fleeing, the fascism over there in Italy to start a new life in Australia, and then they pretty much get locked up for being a fascist here. But
yeah, that's right.
It's kind of ironic that happens, but yeah.
Yeah, it certainly is. You wonder, what have you got to do? How do you win?
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned that the shrine down there, it's a sort of a roadside shrine that they built down there at Harvey, which is still there. I think it's been put in a protective hut or something now. They're sort of common in Italy, aren't they?
I believe so, yes. Yep.
They build them beside the roads in Italy, so I guess this was, again, and they're pretty good working with stone as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So... and your great-grandfather's story you mentioned, he worked on the wood lines in Kalgoorlie. Was he married at the time? Did he have a family?
My grandfather, I believe he did meet my grandmother at some point, and they lived in Kalgoorlie and he worked there, I believe, at some point. I don't know the exact full extent of it, but I believe that's what happened. Yeah, he was out there cutting wood. And they did meet at some point. I think they're actually from the same town in Italy, up north in a place called Tirano. And then they sort of got on here and, married and all of that business, and then eventually came down to Perth and settled up here.
In the true Italian way.
That's it.
Marry a girl from the same village if you can possibly do it. There's still a lot of that happens here, Daniel, as you're probably aware. There's certain families in Fremantle that... they're just not allowed to marry outside the traditional Italian ways.
Got to find a nice Italian girl to settle down with.
So how long is, you say it's not a full-length movie, how long is the movie?
It's 14 minutes.
Okay.
And basically the idea is to try and create enough buzz and, try and get it to the next level. We're looking at telling the full story eventually. That's a long-term goal. But the first step, I think, is definitely, getting around and talking to all these people and just hearing the stories and giving them a chance to tell their story so that it's not too late.
It's getting to that stage, isn't it? They're all well into their 80s now, if not beyond.
80s and 90s,
Yeah, that's true. And so basically you tell the story of one person, from the time he's taken away from his home, and where he goes from there. And some went to Rottnest, some were locked up in Fremantle, I think, at one stage, and then, as you say, they were many went to the camp in Harvey. Others were put to work in various areas, and those who were on farms, of course, farmers were like manpowered here in Australia, so if they were doing something productive in that sense, they were often allowed to continue to do it because it was it's work that had to be done, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And one thing about the Italians, they're not afraid of hard work, that's for sure.
No way, yep.
So you made the film here in Perth, or did you sort of travel far afield to do it?
We shot it all down in Yarloop, which is sort of just before Harvey.
Yes.
We also shot some stuff in Pinjarra and some stuff in Jarrahdale, so they were the main three areas we shot the film in.
How long did it take you to, from go to woe?
Maybe about. It was actually pretty quick considering what we achieved, but probably about 4 or 5 months.
Oh, okay.
And the shooting process itself probably took about a week of shooting, dusk till dawn till dusk every day, and then we've had to edit the film and get it to this point as well. So, yeah, we're really happy with it, and we're really proud of it, and we hope that we can, sort of generate enough buzz to get it to the next level and keep going with it,
So you wrote and produced it yourself, which obviously means developing the script and the casting you did yourself? Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, we did. Obviously, I had a very good crew as well. I had a director who was actually from Denmark, Julius Telmer. We also had some Norwegians working on it, our director of photography, Kjetil, and also our editor, Marcus. They're both from Norway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were you involved in the editing process?
A little bit. It was more so the editor that was in charge of that. We'd always look at cuts and give our opinions on how we thought it was, but yeah, very much the editor and the director, that was their point of creation there in the editing.
I imagine that's one of the most difficult parts of a movie is deciding what's got to be left on the cutting room floor when you really often how difficult it was to get that scene shot the way you wanted to, and then you think, I'm not going to waste it after all that work we went into. I imagine that's all part of the learning process for a filmmaker, isn't it?
With a writer director. When you write something and you're not directing it, it's very hard to sort of let go of that control. So you've got to have a really, really close and understanding relationship with your director so that you guys have the same sort of vision. And
you've got to be very much on the same page, haven't you?
Yeah, for sure.
Was this the first film you've made, Daniel?
I've performed in some short films before as an actor, but this is pretty much the first film I've written and produced. Yeah.
Okay. Have you studied filmmaking at uni, or?
I do. I'm actually in my last year of filmmaking. I'm studying performance and film at Curtin University.
Okay.
That's also how I met Frank, the main actor. He actually studied performance with me there.
Okay, so now it's being premiered, I gather, in Fremantle on Wednesday, and that screening has sold out. It's at Hoyt's Millennium in Fremantle. So you've booked a second showing on Thursday evening at 7:15 at the same theatre. Is that right?
We have, yeah. It's the same deal. We're going to have drinks and food, of course, Italian food. We've got to put that on. We'll have an Italian singer singing, Amanda Canzurlo. She'll be singing an Italian song. She's from Fremantle. She's a Freo girl as well. And we'll have another short film from the director, previous short film he's made, and of course the highlight, Restare Uniti. We've still got about 100 or so tickets left to that out of 500, so things are going well. And, who knows, if we get enough interest, we might even have to look at putting another one on. You never know. Yeah,
well, that's fantastic. So 500, that's what the theatre holds?
But, yeah, holds 500, so we're looking at almost 1,000 people.
Yeah, so you've sold, 900 tickets already?
Yeah, so we've done really well. We're really, really excited, and, we've got a little bit of money now for the budget to send it to festivals and try to get it, really just get the publicity up and get it to the next level. And, yeah, things are looking good, but, we'll just keep our heads down and keep working and see what happens.
So your intention is to make a full-length film. Would that, again, be a feature film, or are you considering maybe a documentary?
Well, documentary will definitely be the first step. That'll be happening this year. And then from that, hopefully that'll be, triggering ideas in my head. I'll be listening to all these stories, and hopefully the creative juices will start flowing, and definitely, developing the script for the feature will be the next step after that.
Yeah, that'll be a challenge for you. But
yeah.
you've had good experience, and this will give you a great opportunity to get feedback from 1,000 people, an audience, and I'm sure that'll prompt stories as well. People will come forward and say, I loved your movie because my father was involved in this, or my grandfather, whatever the case may be, and I'm sure plenty will come out of it. People listening who might be interested in going on Thursday, Daniel, how do they go about getting tickets?
They can contact me by email or telephone.
Okay.
Do you want me to?
Well, I'll leave. Rather than give it out over the air, Tracy has your number, I think. So if people are interested in going along, they can either email or telephone Tracy, and we'll pass on your information. Well, I might give you a phone number because people listening might also be interested in having their stories, contributing their stories to the full length documentary that you're going to make.
That'd be great.
It's 0422 331 940. Is that the number?
That's the one. Yep.
Okay. 0422 331 940. The movie, the Wednesday showing is sold out, but there are a few tickets left for Thursday at 7:15 at Hoyt's Millennium Cinema in Fremantle. And Daniel explained the things that'll be happening there, the movies that'll be shown, and also the performance by the Italian singer, and of course, as he said, food and drinks in the true Italian spirit. Daniel, great to talk to you. I'll just put you on hold because I've got a caller named Mavis who wants to have a chat to us, and her uncle was apparently in charge of the camp in Harvey.
Okay.
So I'll thank you for joining us tonight, and wish you the best of luck with this film, and keep us posted on what you're doing with the documentary or with the full length film, and anything we can do to help you, we'd love to talk to you about it.